talking about an unsettled weather pattern headed into your Mother's Day weekend. What's causing this phenomenon and how much rain we could see by next week.
Plus, those showers causing some strong wind gusts overnight. We're bringing you the Weather Extra on what a wake low is and how they form and how it impacted our area.
Live on your side. First Alert Weather Extra starts right now.
But we begin with scenes from Larkwood Falls and Coleman, shared by Carson Clark. This was taken after all the rain and moved through the area over the last few days. Our First Alert weather watchers, Lauren, checking in with rain totals well over 1 inch in parts of the area.
Oh, and we are just really getting started. We still got several days, Wes, that we have a First Alert for more rain and storms in the forecast.
Yeah, the rain really kicks in this time of the year. If we don't have a lot of rain this time of the year, it can kind of set the stage for trouble later in the summer because you kind of get behind on that rainfall budget. You start talking about drought, but there will be more wet weather in the forecast. That's the next big thing that we're going to be talking about. And even the chance we could see some foggy travel overnight. So a first alert for that possibility as we go into the day tomorrow. Plan for maybe some foggy weather in the morning. There are some showers, a lot of clouds, but you look out the window and you see some of these clouds. It's like it's about to rain, but when you check the radar on the First Alert weather app, we're seeing just isolated showers, but all that lifting in from south to north to heavier rain at the moment. We've been seeing some heavier rain down along the Gulf Coast. But let's go in closer to where we do have some wet weather at the moment. No rain falling in West Alabama. We're in good shape. Birmingham south through Bessemer into Shelby County and Chilton County at the moment. A break in the rain, but further north, there's a little bit of wet weather here over Blount County. Some rain that's crossing around Highway 75 in Aniana, and that's going to continue there, tracking off to the north and east towards Altoona. And you go near the Anniston area out here towards the bypass, and you can see near Welborn right now, seeing a little bit of rain. Cane Creek, a shower that's tracking towards Sachs and Blue Mountain, where we actually have a little bit of shower action there at the moment. And then further south to Childersburg, we have a nice little downpour right along the rivers, just over the bridge into Childersburg, and that's tracking over towards Camulga there off to the east. So a little bit of rain tonight, but there's a lot more rain on the way. The next big thing that we're going to be talking about is this upper low that I'm tracking spinning to the north and west. There's a lot of cold air aloft. That's going to drop in over the next few days. We've been talking a lot about blocking patterns this week. That system's going to be around over the weekend, and it's going to generate scattered showers and storms, and not just tomorrow. Over the next few days, there's going to be a risk. Any storm that develops, some of those could go strong. Of course, we got to watch out with any storm, the possibility of cloud to ground lightning, strong gusty winds, but I'm concerned we could see some big hail producers with some of those storms as we move into the weekend. It's kind of an interesting forecast here. With a system like this, it can really lower those temperatures. A lot of the models saying we could be close to 70 on Saturday. Wouldn't surprise me if we have to back down, way down on those temperatures. I've had some data suggesting we may be in the low 50s there by Saturday midday. So it could be a cool day out there with a chance of rain, maybe a few storms, and then for Mother's Day, a chance for scattered storms. So just giving you the first alert there. We could go a lot cooler there for Saturday, depending on how soon some of that heavier rain moves in there early in the day. A live look from Oxford at the moment. We're at 76 degrees at this time. And speaking, I know I mentioned a little bit cooler for Saturday. Next week, we could be talking about upper 80s by the end of the week. So that's another big story we're going to get into coming up right here on Weather Extra. But the rain leaving behind clouds at Orange Beach. Check out this image shared by Twitter user Boltmaster. Actually, that's Alex Thielsen that shared that during his time there along the coast. We've been tracking some of those storms and showers down along the coast today. The clouds also bringing showers to our area. Of course, just last night, well, a lot of rain, right? Meteorologist Megan Thomas joins us now with just how much rain we saw over the past 24 hours.
We picked up a lot of rain in some communities overnight, and here are some of our fabulous weather watcher reports. Anywhere from about a half an inch to a little over an inch in some spots. Lamar County, Tony McDonald picked up right around a half an inch of rain. Alabaster, John King and Shelby County just shy of 1 inch. And then our friend Joseph Williamson in Talladega just shy of 3/4 of an inch of rain. Those of you in Oakman saw 1.23 inches from our friend Sarah Porter reported that. And of course, we got to check in with Joey Amberson from Birmingham at around 1 inch of rain. And then Northport and Tuscaloosa County, Bud Bean just around 0.63 inches of rain. Now, radar estimates picked up anywhere between about 1/4 to 1/2 inch of rain along and east of I-65. Higher totals back in the western portion of the state. In fact, radar estimates through portions of Sumter County got upwards of 2 inches of rain in the 24-hour period. So we're expecting more rain over the course of the next several days and into Mother's Day weekend. So these totals for the week will be impressive once we check in with everybody early next week.
Thanks, Megan. Well, we want to look ahead to that rainfall forecast over the next week. And I have to stress that this will likely change. A lot of our models have been trending wetter. If you checked in with me over the weekend, they were trending drier. So it kind of keeps waffling back and forth, which is just a testament to how tricky this pattern is to forecast. But this is showing that generally we could pick up 1.5 inches to potentially 2.5 to 3 inches of rain across central Alabama over the next 7 days. And what we've been seeing already for May thus far, we're barely 1/3 of a way through the month, and in some spots like Tuscaloosa, we're already above the average rainfall totals for May. So we're likely just going to be adding on to that with this unsettled pattern that is going to be sticking around with us through next week. Well, sometimes showers such as the ones from last night, that heavy massive rain that came through, can bring about strong winds, also known as a wake low, that happens in the wake of the system. Meteorologist Matt Daniel joins us now as he breaks down the science and talks about the highest wind gusts we saw here in central Alabama.
Well, early this morning we had lots of rain move through, but behind that massive rainfall, we actually had winds gusting behind it. So why is that? We call that a wake low. Check this out. Tuscaloosa had a wind gust up to 44 miles per hour out of Shelby County Airport, where the Weather Service is located at 44-mile-per-hour winds. Birmingham Airport at 29. Even in Mississippi, we saw winds over 50 miles per hour. So what exactly is a wake low? Well, usually it happens after a massive rain quickly moves through the area. You get the rain moves through to the surface, and that's where you get those downdrafts. And usually you'll get some rising pressures where the rain's fallen. But then once that happens, you get an area of low pressure forming on the back side of it. And sometimes the pressure differences from the high and the low creates a pressure gradient. And that's a result of some gusty winds. And sometimes you can get some power outages, trees going down. We definitely saw some of that as that air races from the high pressure to the low pressure to fill the vacuum, creating those gusty winds. So that's what happened earlier this morning, I'd say right around 5 a.m. and into the 6 o'clock hour. So I want to show you what happened. This is the estimated wind gust. This is at 5 a.m. You can see those winds really picking up right around 6 o'clock. Look at that. Alabaster estimated winds of 54 miles per hour, 42 mile per hour gusts near Centerville. And most of this wind happened around Sumter, Green, Hale, southern Tuscaloosa, in Abib, Shelby County, southern Jefferson County. Areas to the north, the winds not too bad. And it's very difficult to forecast these wake low events, but usually happens after a lot of rain moves through. So it's not unusual to see this kind of setup, but it does occasionally happen. Of course, then the winds subsided and went away. You can really see what happened. I've added the radar and the power outages. So notice around 5 a.m. already saw 5,000 customers without electricity there in Pickens County. As this rain moves through, notice how the wind started picking up behind that massive rain. So 3,500 customers without power in Tuscaloosa, 1,000 in Bibb, 2,500 there in Shelby County, 1,500 there in Jefferson County. This is right around 6 o'clock this morning. And then notice even a few spots lost some electricity there in parts of St. Clair and in Talladega County, but that's once again after the rain moved through. So the only way we can really see this happening is real-time observations, and of course we were getting that in Mississippi. So the National Weather Service here in Birmingham, we're putting out some special weather statements regarding those gusty winds behind that rain. Notice going into the early afternoon after the system moved through, we were able to see those power numbers, those outages shrink a good bit as the crews were out there restoring some power. So just want to give you a little update. That is what a wake low is. It happens after rain moves through, pressure gradient, lots of wind, and sometimes just hard to forecast.
In 30 seconds, we talk about the increasing rain chances for your Thursday. And on this third day of Air Quality Awareness Week, we're speaking with our friends from the Jefferson County Department of Health. We'll see you after the break. And welcome back in to First Alert Weather Extra. I was looking earlier, our camera down along the Gulf Coast, we had a lot of rain falling, but now that wet weather has moved on through. Just to let you know, if you're maybe going down for Mother's Day weekend, maybe enjoying Saturday and Sunday down along the coast, there's a chance that there will be some scattered storms there too. Need to watch it, but I do think more breaks possible, certainly by Sunday and into Monday and next week. Actually, next week, so you can see those 80s popping back up in the forecast around here. We could see some upper 80s. Let's go to live radar here locally. What's going on? Actually, we'll loop this back over several hours, and you can see that mostly some scattered showers over East Alabama showing up at the moment. Not a lot happening, although we're just covered up with clouds at this time. This cloud cover is going to stick around this evening, overnight. I think in the morning there could be some foggy issues early in the day, just early, and then for the rest of the day we'll break into some sunshine mixing in with scattered thunderstorms in the afternoon. We'll have to watch it there later in the day tomorrow, but we do have those higher rain chances. Also, one thing we haven't talked about with all this rain that we've had lately, the pollen. We're past, I think we're over the hill here as far as the heavy pine pollen, that yellow pollen just on everything. However, you can still see that there are some trees and some mold, grass pollen levels actually all in the medium range right now. So allergies still an issue, and especially with these temperatures back on the rise there. So giving you that first alert. But we'll be talking a lot more about the allergy forecast, more on the weekend, and the 10-day forecast. It's all coming up. Let's go back to Lauren.
Well, Wes, today is the third day of Air Quality Awareness Week, and today meteorologist Matt Daniel and I spoke with meteorologist Matt Lakey. He works in the Air Pollution Division at the Jefferson County Department of Health about why it's important to know about air quality and where pollution can originate. I know Matt and I, the two Matts, it can get a little confusing, but Matt and I are always very interested in how air quality can affect folks here in Birmingham. So why is it important to bring awareness to something like air quality?
Well, air quality is important because it's a health issue. So people are outside all the time, so they're breathing in the air that's outside. So they have to know what's going on outside in order to know if they're safe.
So this is the time of the week where we're educating those about Air Quality Awareness Week. And that's because we're getting into the summer months, and it seems like more so than not, we get those code orange a lot. Tell us how that works, why we get those code orange days.
Yeah, so at the health department, we issue air quality forecasts, which are based on the Air Quality Index, or the AQI for short. It's a color-coded scale that tells you how good or bad the air quality is on a daily basis. So the color-coded scale starts in the good range, which is green, and then you have the yellow, which is moderate, and that's where the two ranges we would like to be every day of the year. Once we get into the more unhealthy air, we issue air quality alerts, and that's for the orange, red, and purple ranges that you were just referring to before. And on those days, we encourage those that have problems breathing to take proper actions, and that could be, doing less strenuous activities outside or maybe staying more indoors.
So who are some of those groups? We talk about a lot when we issue air quality alerts that there are those sensitive groups. Who is included in that so our audience knows if they need to be extra careful on those alert days?
So those groups are going to be children, older adults, and anyone with any sort of heart or lung ailment. And those people are the ones that probably should be looking at the air quality forecast on a daily basis, especially during the summer months.
Tell us exactly what causes those code yellows, oranges, and reds or beyond. Like, I know usually stagnant air is usually one big thing, but then tell us other reasons why we might see that.
Yeah, so we kind of have three main things that are in play here. One is the weather. We get a lot of those hot, stagnant days. And then we also have the topography of the area plays a role in Birmingham, as we have a lot of valleys and it traps in the pollution in those areas. And then also we have a lot of emissions in the area, whether it's from traffic or industry. And more recently, we've had a lot more issue with wildfires, primarily outside of the state of Alabama, and then prescribed burns within the state of Alabama have become more prevalent and of late.
Be sure to tune in to Weather Extra tomorrow evening, where we talk about how our changing climate can affect air quality and what you can do to stay safe in the event of an unhealthy air quality alert. Well, taking you around the world now to Canada, where evacuation orders have just been lifted. This comes after a large brush fire impacted the area just yesterday, which caused several businesses to evacuate. Police at the time were asking drivers to avoid the area. And in Texas, the cleanup process begins today after high winds and large hail impacted the region on Tuesday. Check out this footage of flooding at College Station in Texas after torrential rain fell across the state. And structural damage was also reported in Waco, where several trees were down and roofs were damaged. Meteorologists in the area say most of the damage was caused by straight-line winds. Well, don't go anywhere. We continue to talk about that soggy weather pattern leading up to Mother's Day weekend and share the world through your eyes as we look at those weather app photos. We'll be right back.
Welcome back into First Alert Weather Extra. Live look from Oak Grove, and this is the First Alert Sky Vision at Oak Grove, just down the road, Sylacauga, and you can see some dark clouds. There is a little bit of rain about to move into this area, so giving you the first alert. You can see there's Sycamore, there's Sylacauga, and actually a little shower may have already passed on through there. Also around Camulca. This is moving north towards Talladega. We've seen a few of these off and on showers over Talladega County this afternoon. Most of the rain's been south and east, at least for later today. Right now, central areas, Birmingham, we're just cloudy but dry. Not a lot happening. West Alabama still dry. Areas south towards Greensboro and Centerville. But you go further north, Aniana, some rain passing not far from Hendricks there, moving to the north, and that's going to be tracking over towards Tate's Gap. But you can see that little area of rain. But that's all we're seeing right now. It's not a widespread coverage at the moment. The big show was earlier today with all that rain that moved through overnight during the early morning. But this is just the beginning. We're going to see rain chances coming back as we look ahead for tomorrow. So first first off, what I want to do here, let's go over to the model data. I want to take a look at the forecast guidance, and let's work through tomorrow. And I think in the morning there could be a little bit of fog around. The model's picking up on some of those low clouds and fog, and then we'll have a partly to mostly cloudy sky. And as we heat up, we will see some upper 70s, close to 80 degrees. Scattered storms will develop, so stay alert for some lightning producers. This data even suggests we might see maybe a more organized complex try to move in tomorrow evening with some gusty winds and perhaps some big hail producers. Again, that's through tomorrow evening. After that, looks like Friday, we might catch some breaks again during the day. I still can't rule out Friday afternoon, some scattered storms, scattered showers. It's amazing how weather is quite cyclical, because last week it was Thursday and Friday. You remember, again, we had those storms that moved through. So we need to watch Friday. Wouldn't surprise me if we did end up with some showers and storms. But notice how this rain is showing up in the data. This is some of the forecast radar data in the Saturday morning. Starts to lift in from the south. We've got a system moving in. We call it an upper low. It's going to sit out here and spin. It's just a big storm system, and it's going to bring a lot of this rain north. But look at the model data, the temperature. That's showing 48 at Tuscaloosa at 7:30 Saturday morning, and showing some real chilly weather. I don't think it's going to be quite that cold, but certainly those temperatures could go a lot cooler, because these systems can cause dynamic cooling. They can bring some cooler temperatures, and also can certainly bring some showers and storms. So we'll need to watch for that possibility on Saturday. Maybe a chill in the air during the day with some rain, but the heat's coming next week, because as we look ahead towards the end of next week, the rain chances back off, and you just know it's a matter of time. So do enjoy the 70-degree temperatures. Right now towards the end of next week, some upper 80s. So when we go to the 10-day forecast, you'll see here that we're looking at rain chances there, upper 80s, and trending drier, maybe touching 90 in a few locations there towards the end of next week. But scattered storm chances again through the weekend into the start of next week. But meteorologist Lauren Linehan, we're looking at some of the long-range data, some of the global data, not really handling some of the long-range forecasts too well, but it's very seasonal to see upper 80s, especially into May.
It is. That is certainly nothing unusual, unfortunately. Yeah. But hey, it's Alabama.
That's right.
We sometimes like to flip the switch to summer a little earlier than we would like. But let's look at beyond the 7 days so we get a better idea of when exactly we could see this flipping the switch to summer. It really does look like we're leaning towards later next week. This is the temperature outlook 8 to 14 days from now. So this is looking at May 15th through May 21st. And you'll notice here in the Birmingham area, and really a good portion of the eastern U.S., eastern 2/3 of the U.S., above average temperatures. That would indicate that we could potentially see a ridge of high pressure setting up somewhere. And when you see those set up, that typically leads to that above average temperature pattern. Now, of course, it's been a soggy start to the month. We have been seeing some indications, though, that May 15th through 21st, as we get into the middle of the month, possibly below average precipitation for areas along and southeast of that I-2059 corridor, but then some areas closer to average. So you could still get some rain and storms, maybe just not the soggy pattern we've been seeing lately. So let's look at some of that Futurecast data. And remember, if our high resolution model data is having a tough time with this pattern, then you know this longer range data is going to have a tough time. But this is looking at next Thursday, May 15th, and this is showing, as I mentioned, a ridge of high pressure building over the Gulf Coast. And so when you get those high pressure ridges, that can help temperatures to skyrocket. And sometimes it can also put a lid on any storm development. So here we are next Friday, the 16th, still showing things fairly dry. We may by Saturday, the 17th, begin to see this ridge break down just a little bit, where we could get the possibility of a few showers and storms back in the forecast. But generally it looks like next weekend a little drier before we maybe see that pattern breaking down by Monday, May 19th. Well, we'll be right back with a final check on your weather here on First Alert Weather Extra after the break. Before we send you off into the evening, how about this beautiful sunset at Choccolocco Park sent in from Justin Cuomo? We love that view. Gorgeous.
Look at all this fog on Logan Martin Lake. A big event happening there out at Logan Martin. A8 sharing that. We have to watch for some rain this weekend. Hopefully some breaks, though.
Hope so. But hey, what a beautiful sunrise in Anniston from Brandy Steele. And
Brandon Steele.
Oh,
First
Brandon
Alert Weather
Steele.
Watcher.
Oh,
Hey,
sorry,
I'm-
Brandy. Brandon.
All right, I'm going to get a text now.
I know.
All right.
Sorry, Brandon.
Kevin Ragsdale sharing this fog on Smith Lake and lovely view. You know, you posted about this, Lauren, these lovely colors that we had in the sky. Red sky at morning yesterday morning.
You know, sometimes, Wes, there's something to those old wives' tales every now and then.
Hey, listen, always listen to my grandfather.
There you go.
I've always listened. Hey, we'll hope you'll listen in tonight. We'll have updates at 9.